Hello friends, welcome back. Today we're going to use Clojure to protect properties within an object from being modified externally. In the previous challenge, bird was a public property name. It was considered public because it can be accessed and changed outside of the bird's function. So once we define the bird, we could set the bird's name to Duffy. And because this variable is associated with an instance object from the constructor form, this is easy to do. You can just change it in the code. And when that's possible, any part of your code can easily change the name of bird to any value. Think about things like passwords or bank accounts being easily changeable by any part of your code base. This could cause a lot of issues. The simplest way to make this public property private is by creating a variable within the constructor function. This changes the scope of that variable to be within the constructor function versus available globally. This way, the variable can only be accessed and changed by methods also within the constructor function. So here we have a function of bird, and we create a variable called hatched egg, and we're set that equal to 10. And then within here, we're creating this dot get hatched egg is equal to a function with no parameters being passed in, which returns the hatched egg, which is the variable with the hatched egg count. So we could create a new instance of bird under the variable named Ducky, and then we can say ducky.get hatched egg count, and that will return the hatched egg count. But here we couldn't say ducky.hatched egg plus 1 and make this 11 in the external here. So I'll show some examples of that in a bit. Here, get hatched egg count is a privileged method because it has access to the private variable hatched egg. This is possible because hatched egg is declared in the same context as get hatched egg count. In JavaScript, a function always has access to the context in which it was created. This is called closure. Change how weight is declared in the bird function so that is a private variable. So what we want to do is, instead of saying this, we want to say let weight equal 15. Then create a method get weight. So we're going to create this dot get weight is equal to a function, and then this is going to return the weight. Okay, now let's do some console logging to think about this. So first off, we want to say let big bird equal a new bird, and if we console.log big bird dot weight, we get undefined, right? Now, when it was the way that it previously was, this dot weight is equal to 15, we were able to see what the weight is from this variable. Now, the problem with this is, let's say we were going to do this twice, right? But instead here, we incremented weight by 1. Well, our weight of Big Bird has changed because the scope this is easily altered because it's a instance variable created directly on there. So if we add closure to this, so we say let weight equal 15, you'll see that bird dot get weight is equal to 15, and if we say bird dot get weight here, it's still equal to 15. So Big Bird is no longer you can no longer increment Big Bird's weight based on the using dot or bracket notation to increment the weight. And so that's why this is useful, because it helps you protect the data that you create. And so now this bird object is more resilient to changes in your program. Whereas if you don't protect it like this, it could create a problem. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to pass the test. Okay, cool, it does. So yeah, let's say we've got our bird weight. Let's say let's put its name in here. Now, what we could do is say name is equal to this dot name. No, this dot name is equal to name. Now, this is how we've done it in the past. Let's shift this. Yeah, let's console.log bigbird.name. Okay, so what we need to do is pass the name in here. So we'll call it Big Bird. The reason that I'm changing the name and spelled here versus the camel case is so that we can see that this is where it's coming from. So we're creating this new Big Bird. We're changing the name. Here we can, let's go Big Bird dot name, and we can plus equals a exclamation point at the tail of it, right? And so now if we console log Big Bird name, the reason I'm doing this is to explain what's going on here. So even though we're trying to increment bigbird.weight, it's not working. So the weight is at 15 when we initialize it, because we're initializing it with this original weight. And then we're saying we're logging out the name. So you can see with the getWeight property, we access the weight through this function, whereas with the name one, we just create it and we utilize it through this the parameters being passed into the constructor function. Here we're trying to alter. That's what we did up here. Now we're trying to alter both the weight and the name by adding something to it. But we don't have an adder function, and so the weight shows that we get an unchanged weight. It's still 15. But because we've created the name like this, and then we've added an exclamation point onto the end of it, you can see that at this point, the instance variable of that was created by this function has updated, and so now Big Bird has changed to Big Bird with an exclamation point. And that's what this is trying to show. This is trying to show closure. It's like a permissions kind of architecture to your web applications. Okay, anyways, we've run the tests. None of that stuff failed. All of this stuff is unnecessary. If you just wanted to pass the test, you could just put in that, I'm pretty sure. But I think that going into a little bit more detail is helpful for you guys while you're learning this. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.